It's another gross day. It's raining, 50 degrees, but we're still going to look at some corn. Let's check it out. So today I'm in Northwest Ohio taking a look at some corn plots and probably check out a bean plot or two while I'm up here as well. We're going to look at a couple new hybrids here, and there's a pretty good difference here. Hybrid A on the right seems to be a little bit bigger and less, or I guess I should say fewer runt plants versus hybrid B here on the left hand side that seems to have a little bit more non-uniformity, a little bit less uniform, and then those plants haven't quite gotten to the same size as what we're seeing over here on the right hand row on hybrid A. So a little bit of a difference here between the older 105 and the new 106. Doesn't mean that this one can't yield right with that one. Through trialing, this one actually appears to have more top end yield with it. But just in this plot observation right here, in these cold, wet conditions, kind of what we're seeing here early on. Standing here at the plot, pulled a couple hybrids that are side by side with each other. Both of these are 108-day corns. I like to see the differences between these. They're both relatively new. This is the second year for each of them, so it's nice to get some more looks at them. This one right here obviously has quite a bit of difference with it in terms of growth, early season growth and seedling vigor. So one thing I did want to point out though, while we have them here on the tailgate, is I thought I'd show you guys how to stage corn. So let's go ahead and teach you how to stage corn. So this is how you stage corn plants. We do it by leaf collars. And what a leaf collar is this dude right here, where your leaf comes down, connects to the stalk. There is a pretty defined line right there. That's called a leaf collar. And so although these two plants are pretty different in terms of size and stature, they're both at the V2 growth stage, because we have one leaf collar here, we have two leaf collars here, but this third leaf right here has not developed that hardened collar right here at the base of that leaf yet. So we're still looking at a V2 plant. One little fun fact is this leaf right here is called the thumb leaf. You can see because it's roughly the shape of your thumb. This is the first leaf that comes out. This is your V1 leaf. As the plant grows and that stalk gets wider and wider and wider and wider, it actually spreads out so far that this little leaf collar, or this leaf sheath, no longer can hold on to that stalk. So this one often falls off when you're doing later season plant stage valuations. So keep that in mind when you're counting leaves later on, that you're probably going to lose your thumb leaf and you're probably going to lose your first couple of leaves as well. So take that into account. Got a couple shining stars here. We got a couple 112 days, which have been really good for us. So let's take a look at those fillers. What we got here is 12U11 on this side, 12S75 on that side. Really happy with how these two products have emerged throughout their entire portfolio lifespans. 12S75 has been the one that I've often said, if you want to go plant something in the snow and be real mean to it, 12S75 can handle that, and it has proven time and again that it has tremendous emergence and early season growth. Last year we launched 12U11, which is right over here on this side, and I tell you what, it gave 12S a run for its money in terms of emergence, early season vigor, early season growth. And so we're seeing that exhibited once again here this year, which is just great to see. Both of these corns, we'll let you kind of take a walk with me and check it out. But, you know, there's very few runts. They are all nice, strong, healthy looking plants. Really happy to see it. One of the big differences that we are going to see is this 12S75 typically is a much darker green color early on, versus 12U11, which can be a little bit more yellow, more pale green early on. Just a cosmetic thing, doesn't really matter. So yeah, both of those hybrids really looking good and doing as expected here in Northwest Ohio today. So one of the things that I try and do a lot of, and a lot of my colleagues do it as well, is G by E by M trials. And so what I mean by that is genetics by environment by management. A lot of seed companies, a lot of folks really get that genetics by environment dialed in. You know, something along the lines of like, hey, this hybrid works really well on poorly drained soils. or it has great drought tolerance. Put it in these types of situations. But our team tries to take it one step further and say, okay, we know where to put it, but how do we treat it? Lots of times we'll have fungicide ratings and stuff, and that's normal for hybrids. But what about side dress applications? What about side dress by population interactions? What about, foliar micronutrient fertilizers? Stuff like that. What if we put all this together? Is the sum greater than its parts? And so all these pieces we try and put together to create just a comprehensive plan for our customers to just better understand these products. That way when I talk with our sales guys on each of these individual farmers on what we want to put on their farms, we have all the necessary information to really maximize the yield, the experience, the whole package for our customers. So we got one of those here. We've got various hybrids at various populations. We're going to do some different management trials on these, from high management to low management, just to see what we can see as being a more or less responsive hybrid to all these different various managements that we're going to do. All right, let's look at these streaks. Can you see the streaks in the leaves here, the yellow streaks in the leaves? That is nutrient deficiency. We're seeing a fair bit of that. It is cold. We're not getting a lot of mineralization of nutrients down the soil for the plant to use. You could have a whole bunch of fertilizer out here, but if the plant can't get it into the plant itself, then we are going to see these streaks. This is nutrient deficiency. We could take some tissue tests and determine exactly what it is. You have a few different nutrients that can cause streaking like this. One of the most common is going to be sulfur. This may or may not be sulfur. Lots of times you see sulfur deficiency even in fields with tons of fertility later on during that rapid growth stage. And really that plant is just outpacing its ability to take up nutrients, so you see some of that streaking at that point. We also can see zinc and manganese both cause streaking like this. It could be one of those. To really know, we would again need to take a tissue test to verify, but it's probably one of those three. With the cool wet conditions that we have, I'm not surprised to see this even in fields with good fertility programs. And this is something that we're seeing really all across really most of Ohio and the Eastern Corn Belt right now with the cold wet conditions that we've had. Once we get some heat, once we dry out a little bit, this will grow through it. It really won't be that big of a deal. So really I would characterize it as mostly cosmetic at this point. This field of corn still has a pretty good chance of having really good yield come this fall, so nothing too concerning quite yet. Just want to get some heat so we can get this stuff going. All right, jump down the road, looking at the bean plot here. A couple things that I think are cool about beans I kind of wanted to share. I think most people know this, but if you don't, something I think is really cool about soybeans is these thick fleshy leaves right here. These are called the cotyledons. They're the first ones that come up out of the ground when they neck up through. This is actually the seed that you planted. So those are the literal seed that you put in the ground when you planted it. They actually split and turn into the first leaves of the plant. So that's pretty cool, I think. And then these leaves are called the unifoliate leaves. We would call this growth stage VC. Once these leaves right here get fully unfurled to the point that they are no longer touching one another, we're going to call that V1. So instead of a leaf collar on corn, we look at fully developed unfurled trifoliates to help stage soybean plants. So this is a VC plant. These are the cotyledons. Off to a pretty good start here. All right, let's check out plot number 2 up here in Northwest Ohio. Little further along than plot 1. This corn's streaking too. Not surprising. Streaking corn. Yo, let's check this out. This is kind of cool. I always like to point this out to guys. I think it's neat. So this right here, if you're a farmer, you've probably seen this before. what is this? This is actually not phosphorus deficiency. A lot of people think that it is because it's purple. It is not phosphorus deficiency. What this is a buildup of a pigment in the leaf called anthomycin. When your leaf conducts photosynthesis, it creates sugars that the plant uses for energy. However, our highway here, our veins in the leaf that go from the tip of the leaf back to the rest of the plant, are broken because of this leaf was kinked over. So all those highways were broken. So what we have here is this end of this leaf was conducting photosynthesis, and it was doing its job, but it was unable to transport all these sugars to the rest of the plant. Therefore, they built up in the end of this leaf, and they release that pigment that turns it purple, and that's why we are seeing what we are seeing here. This part of the leaf was doing its job photosynthesizing, but it was unable to transport all of the product back to the rest of the plant because these highways were broken. So that's why you often see this after post spraying or side dressing, stuff like that, where a wheel will accidentally kink over a leaf. We can see that right here as well. You can see it starting on that leaf too. So that's pretty cool thing. I don't know. I think plants are neat. I think that's something that's kind of cool. And we will actually contrast it with this. Do you see that very thin line of purple along the edge of that leaf? That very, very thin line of purple along the edge of the leaf is phosphorus deficiency. It's cold, it's wet, the plant is not using phosphorus as well as it should. We're not getting a lot of nutrient availability in that soil. Therefore, we are seeing some phosphorus deficiency along the edge of that leaf. Can you see it right here? Yep, along the edge of that leaf. Yeah, you can see that pretty good. So that's the compare and contrast. We have pigment buildup, and then we also do have some phosphorus deficiency. I mean, we got water laying over there, so not surprising to see that. But we do kind of have that corn of many colors type of situation here, where we got some streaking, we got some purpling, corn's kind of yellow. So yeah, some heat would do everybody some wonders right now. Let's hope we get it. All right, so let's take a gander at growth stage on these plants. This is 104 day. We're gonna bust up out of there. We got 1 leaf collar, 2 leaf collars, 3 leaf collars, and this one isn't quite there yet. So this is gonna be V3 corn. Growth staging this time of year is really important. A couple of very important things happen at the V5 growth stage. So at V5, 2 things happen that are super important. 1, the growing point emerges out of the ground. So corn at this stage right now, you could go in and mow it off with a mower or a hail event or whatever, and it would grow back because that growing point is down below the ground. Once that emerges from the ground at V5, then your corn plant just becomes a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more at risk to things like, let's say, green snap or hail or whatever. There's no coming back from it at that point. The other super important and largely more impactful from a wide range of acres basis is at the V5 growth stage. So again, corn not much bigger than this. Not much bigger than this. At that point, your ear, the number of rows around on your ear is determined, and that is an incredibly important factor in terms of yield. It takes a lot of additional kernels on the end of the ear to basically equate out to the same as adding a couple more rows around in girth on the ear. So that's why a lot of guys do a V5 fungicide. You want to keep that plant as happy and healthy as possible at that V5 growth stage so that you can get as many rows around on that ear as possible. Just gives you more top end yield potential, more places to pack kernels on, pack grain onto that ear later on in the growing season. So V3 now, if we had good weather, we'd be at V5 before you know it. With as cold as it is, again, it's like 50 degrees right now, windy, no sun, wet, just not good corn growing conditions, it'll still be a little while before we reach V5 here. All right, bean plot number 2, staging them. We have our unifoliate leaves out. Our first trifoliate is trying to unfurl, not all the way unfurled yet, so we are still at VC and have not progressed all the way to V1 yet. Much like corn, if we can get some heat, some sunshine, this would progress pretty quickly and we'd be at V1, but we're just not there yet. All right, one more cool fact about beans before we cut her loose for the day. We're gonna take a look at this bean down here. All right, this dude. What color is that? That is a purple neck on that bean. Purple neck, get you a good look at it. All right. Some people get concerned about that. They think it's necrosis and that plant is dying, or it's frost damage, or something like that. That is not what is going on right there. That is a purple pigment. It's natural, and it's actually correlated with the flower color. So this variety is a Golden Harvest variety, 3373, and that is going to have a purple flower. So when you have a purple neck like that, it just corresponds to the flower color. If you have a green neck on your plant, it's going to have a white flower. So no need to be alarmed if you see those purple necks. It's perfectly normal. If you see stuff that's starting to turn brown, then that can be herbicide or frost damage or something like that, and that is something to be concerned about. But the purple is no big deal. It's normal, it's natural, it's the way it ought to be. So hope that helps. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. If you did, like and subscribe. We'll catch you again on the next one. Thanks.